busted by the defenders.
What are you doing in the building?
Thieves ripping apart what was a treasured piece of Detroit history.
Stealing anything they can get their hands on.
Now the Local 4 defenders and police catch these guys in the act and reveal what's being done right now to stop scrappers.
Boy, it is a huge problem affecting just about every neighborhood over Detroit, and now one historic city-owned building is the latest target.
Local 4 defender Hank Winchester joins us now live. And Hank, why isn't action being taken to try to protect this building?
And Sandra, that's the big question. The building owned right now by the Detroit Public School System. It's hard to believe a year ago students were in this building. It has now been destroyed. And on top of that, thieves are now roaming the neighborhood looking for a piece of the action. Built in 1928, this Detroit public school is considered a work of art. The Renaissance Revival building featuring stone, granite, lanterns, and urns that dot the roofline. Thousands of students have walked through these doors. It housed Jackson Intermediate, Ronald McNair Middle, and most recently was the temporary home of Finney High School until closing just last year. In 2011, the building was nominated to be placed on the National Register of Historic Places. But look at this building today. In just 12 months, scrappers have picked the building apart, piece by piece, almost overnight. It's hard to imagine this building was once a jewel in Detroit.
At least just board it up. People from going in and getting whatever else that they can get. It's a hazard now. You know, we have kids in this community that walks around here every day. It's just a disgrace to our city.
This man's scared to even show his face. He lives in the neighborhood. He's terrified the scrappers will target his home next. Defender cameras captured the destruction. Thieves in the act, and police on the move. You guys serious, man? We'll take you on a wild ride, tracking these scrappers down in a moment. Listen, we know, sadly, this is just one blown-out building in a city filled with thousands. Police simply can't patrol all of them. But this building is owned by the school district. Nothing has been done in the last year to secure it or to keep the scrappers away.
The city is just being torn apart one piece at a time, and a lot of this, I think, is basically these scrappers.
Andy Arena with the Detroit Crime Commission knows once the scrappers are gone,
drug dealers move in, prostitutes move in, gangbangers move in, sexual predators move in.
Arena is now taking action, going after those ripping the buildings apart and also those buying up the goods.
To me, the choke points are the scrapyards. There's got to be much more vigilance at those scrapyards because that's where the stuff is coming in, that's where the stuff is going out.
We just stumbled upon this story one day as we were covering a shooting nearby. Photographer Cesar Gonzalez heard the rumblings. Trucks circling the school, scrappers and illegal dumpers moving in. Before we knew it, we were chasing them down. They split, and seconds later, another group was closing in.
They just jumped in the truck.
Back inside the school. Channel 4, what are you guys doing? What are you doing in the building? Why are you guys stealing something? With sledgehammer in hand, these guys are looking for anything worth something. What are you doing? Are y'all serious? Whoa. They start chucking bricks at us. We call the Detroit PD. We're at the old Finney High School. We've got people inside that are tearing the building apart, stealing anything they can get their hands on. They take off. We follow. Are you kidding me? They stop to pick up scrap that had been dumped by another group we just scared off. No, it's not. It's from the school. Come on, guys. That's not your property, man. We already called the cops. We just chased you out of the building. Now you're out here trying to steal these doors? Minutes later, 8 to be exact, DPD rolls up, answering the call for help. There's a guy in a white T-shirt and a black T-shirt. They just jumped out of the building. They've been loading trucks up with all the scrap from the school. And the chase is on. Lights flashing. Now 3 cruisers in pursuit. The red van is loaded down with copper, windows, and doors. The man inside denies everything. But he's been busted before, ticketed for scrapping. But the temptation to make a few dollars couldn't keep him away. The man is arrested for outstanding warrants, the van towed away. Back near the school, the windows the thieves lost when they took off sit on the roadside. A sad reminder left behind, exposing a serious problem. Within just an hour, we spotted 4 different groups of guys ripping out windows, doors, and pipes. Police responded quickly, but we know they can't respond every time. That's why it's so important that you take action. Get descriptions, license plate numbers, any information that can help police. Yes, this building has seen better days. Who can forget what it once was? Sadly, it's all a distant memory. The scrappers themselves ripped it apart.
The city's become a dumping ground, a junkyard for people.
But the city and the school district let this building sit wide open, prime for the picking. And the people still living in this area can't believe the destruction they've witnessed, how quickly their beloved jewel lost its shine.
Something like this to happen within 9 months and no response of trying to protect a beautiful school. You could have sold it off to a charter school. At least just board it up.
Back out here live, it is so upsetting to see what has happened to that particular building in that neighborhood. And like I said, I understand there are many buildings that are abandoned in Detroit, but this one is still owned by the Detroit Public Schools. They've taken no action to do anything to protect this building and keep the criminals away. We've called them repeatedly, working to get answers to see if they'll do something to correct the situation. No reply. If there is a bright spot in this situation, it's that police were able to lock up some of these guys that were picking the building apart. And also they've started patrolling this area, keeping an eye out not only on the building, but also the people that live nearby. We're live here tonight. Hank Winchester, back to you.
Well, an historic Detroit building left to rot becomes the target of scrappers. Defenders' cameras rolling as the thieves steal any metal they can.
The building is owned by Detroit Public Schools. It has sat vacant for months, turning it into a prime target for thieves.
Our Hank Winchester showed you the damage last night at 11.
It was extraordinary to watch the video of that. He joins us now. And Hank, you've been talking with Detroit Public Schools about this problem. What do they say about it?
And Ruth and Devin, you're going to hear the complete statement in a moment. They, too, say they're devastated to see what has happened to this building, and they're going to take action to work to try to protect it. As you can see, every window in this building has been torn right out. We're in what was the cafeteria. It's hard to believe that less than a year ago, kids were actually eating in this room. Now thieves have ripped this building apart piece by piece. Channel 4, what are you guys doing? The defenders exposed the problem. Scrappers tearing apart a piece of Detroit history. A school that opened in 1928, shut down just a year ago. And in that time, thieves have gone wild. The defenders busted some of these guys caught in the act, stealing windows, doors, and pipes. And we called Detroit police. At the old Finney High School. We just chased you out of the building. Now you're out here trying to steal these doors? They've been loading trucks up with all the scrap from the school. Arrests were made that day, but the building just sat there, prime for the picking. We just received this statement from Detroit Public Schools regarding our investigation. It reads, Detroit Public Schools police have responded on 30 occasions to calls regarding illegal activity at this location. 14 arrests have been made at this property since October 2012. DPS has a responsibility to be good stewards within the community. This is not characteristic of the manner in which DPS has maintained its recently closed properties. And we too are concerned about what thieves have done to destroy the value of this building and add blight to the community. It will also be reviewed what additional measures can be taken to ensure that this is not repeated elsewhere across the city. Back out here live, we've made our way across the hall. We're in what was a classroom, and again, thieves ripped out all the lighting, all the piping, all the copper, all the wire, anything worth something. DPS says they're going to increase patrols in this area. Detroit police have already stepped up patrols, but people that live near this school, they're concerned these open windows. They're worried now that criminal activity could take place in this building. No word on whether DPS or the city will take any action to board it up or at least put a fence around the property. We're live here tonight. Hank Winchester, back to you.
Scrappers, as you know, have become one of the biggest problems facing the city of Detroit and the suburbs for that matter. The Local 4 Defenders have been working to expose this continuing and growing threat, and now lawmakers are taking notice. Hank Winchester is live now with what they're trying to do about it. Hank?
And Devin, the laws really could make all the difference here. It's no, everybody knows, obviously, there's plenty of blown out houses in Detroit. This is just one block here, one after another. Unfortunately, scrap thieves have already been in here, cleaned these places out. The idea behind changing the law, though, it would make it tougher for these guys to cash in. That's not your property, man. We already called the cops. The local 4 defenders caught thieves in the act, scrappers tearing apart a local school. The police were called, arrests were made, but now the problem is being attacked in a new way. And it will be harder now for these crooks to cash in.
There's a realization that we've got to strengthen the laws.
Andy Arena with the Detroit Crime Commission just met yesterday with legislators in Lansing, coming up with new solutions and eventually, hopefully, new laws to stop scrappers.
I think it's making it harder for the scrappers to get rid of to offload the material. To me, the scrap yards, the recycling facilities, that's the choke point.
The action to attack the problem getting support across the state. This is not just a Detroit issue.
It's a statewide problem. You know, it's my understanding they're stealing the counterbalances off of railroad crossings. There's the stakes out of railroad ties. They're going up on these windmill, the turbines, up in the middle of the state and stealing copper wiring out of this. So it's a statewide problem.
Back out here live, and you can see they removed the gas line from the front of this house, all the copper piping inside. The good news regarding legislation, and we know sometimes it takes a long time, discussions yesterday, very optimistic because both Republicans and Democrats agreeing on this one that something needs to be done to stop this problem. We're live here tonight. Hank Winchester, back to you.